What if freedom isn't about having every choice, but about being gently guided toward the right one? And what if the smallest changes in our environment could completely reshape the way we live, spend, and even love? Hi, I'm Peter, and welcome back to Books for Thoughts, where we explore the books that don't just teach you something new, but change how you see the choices you make every day. This week, we're exploring how our decisions are rarely as rational as we think, and how a little structure can make a big difference. Today's breakdown is Nudge by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein, a fascinating look at how small tweaks in design and context can quietly steer us toward wiser, healthier, and kinder lives. We like to imagine we're rational beings, that we weigh pros and cons, make logical decisions, and act in our own best interest. But Thaler and Sunstein remind us we're human, and being human means being predictably irrational. We forget to save money. We overeat when stressed. We procrastinate even when the stakes are high. And we're far more influenced by framing, timing, and defaults than we care to admit. The truth is, our environment is always nudging us. Every menu layout, website button, and policy form is subtly pushing us towards certain outcomes. The question isn't whether we're being influenced, it's how. The authors call this choice architecture, the way decisions are presented. And just like physical architecture shapes how we move through a space, choice architecture shapes how we move through decisions. A school cafeteria, for example, can nudge healthier eating by simply placing fruit at eye level instead of candy. A retirement plan can boost long-term savings by making contribution automatic unless you opt out. Nothing is forced. Freedom stays intact, but the default path becomes the wiser one. It's not manipulation. It's thoughtful design, an invitation to make the choices we already wish we'd make. And in a world flooded with noise and options, sometimes the kindest thing we can do for ourselves is remove unnecessary friction. At its core, nudge isn't about control. It's about alignment. The authors call it libertarian paternalism, a term that sounds contradictory but really means giving people freedom, while still guiding them toward what's good for them. Imagine a GPS. You're free to ignore it, but it's designed to help you reach your destination faster, with fewer dead ends. That's what good choice architecture does. It doesn't take away options. It simply makes the best ones easier to see. And maybe that's a lesson for life too, to build our own mental GPS systems, habits, environments, routines, not to limit freedom, but to protect it from our own impulses. We encounter nudges everywhere, whether we notice or not. To me, are you sure you want to unsubscribe? Prompt nudges us to pause. A smart watch reminding you to stand nudges movement. A well-lit staircase nudges you to walk instead of taking the elevator. Even relationships nudge us toward patience or resentment, honesty or avoidance. The spaces we inhabit and the people we surround ourselves with shape who we become, one small nudge at a time. And maybe that's the real beauty of this book, that wisdom doesn't always come from big decisions, but from designing small ones well. If the world is full of invisible nudges, then the real question becomes, how do we take back authorship of our own? Thaler and Sunstein argue that awareness is the first step. When you start to see how your attention is being pulled by marketing, design, even social pressure, you begin to understand that free choice is often an illusion shaped by context, but awareness also gives you power. Because once you see the levers being pulled, you can start building your own system, your own architecture for wiser decisions. Imagine treating your daily habits like a designer treats a room. You remove what doesn't serve the purpose and keep only what helps you move with ease. Want to eat better? Start by changing your environment. Keep healthy snacks visible and make junk food harder to reach. Want to save more? Set your transfer to happen automatically. The less your willpower is tested, the more consistent your success becomes. This isn't self-control, it's self-compassion. You're acknowledging that your mind is human and designing life with that humanity in mind. That's what nudging yourself really means. It's not discipline, it's kindness in structure. But the book also raises an important question. When does nudging cross the line into manipulation? The authors argue it comes down to transparency and intent. A good nudge helps people make choices that align with their long-term goals and values. A bad nudge hides information or exploits our biases for someone else's gain. It's the difference between a sign reminding you to hydrate and a flashing ad selling you sugar water. As consumers, citizens, and leaders, the responsibility lies in using influence ethically, in building systems that empower, not trick. When you zoom out, nudge isn't just about economics or policy. It's about human nature. It's about recognizing that most of our bad habits aren't moral failures, they're design flaws. So what if we approach self-improvement like an architect, not a judge? We could design mornings that make calmness automatic, design friendships that make honesty natural, design financial systems that make saving joyful, not painful. You don't need to overhaul everything overnight. You just need to start shifting one small thing, because small things compound. That's the quiet math of human behavior. At its heart, nudge teaches that progress rarely happens through force. It happens through gentle momentum, a step, a pause, a small correction in direction. And when you begin to apply that principle to life itself, you realize how much freedom lives inside structure, how guidance can be an act of care, and how the right nudge at the right time can change the entire path you're walking on. So maybe wisdom isn't about resisting every impulse, but learning how to arrange the world so that the path of least resistance is also the path that leads you somewhere meaningful. If this breakdown helped you see your choices a little differently, I encourage you to pick up Nudge by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein and explore how the smallest shifts can lead to the biggest changes. And if you enjoy reflective, thought-provoking dissections that blend psychology, design, and everyday wisdom, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Books for Thoughts, where we share 10-minute explorations to help you think a little clearer and live a little wiser. Until next time, stay mindful, stay curious, and remember, you can't control every choice, but you can design the space where those choices are made.